Hi everyone. I was recently interviewed by a master's in psychotherapy student around the topic of how stories can better help them to understand their clients and to better understand themselves. The interview really revolved around my life story and what led me to start my second career as a filmmaker and now building an impact storytelling community. And in the spirit of sharing a bit more about who I am to you guys, I thought it would be great for me to just share parts of that interview with you. Now, this interview is quite long, so I've chopped it into multiple parts. The first part will be focused around what I was doing before I started this second career in filmmaking, and how on a journey to resolve and heal my chronic anxiety, it led me to finding my purpose in making an impact in the world through film and storytelling. So, on that note, I hope you'll enjoy this first part of the interview, which I share with you here now.
Yeah, so this subject is called Self and Story, and it's part of my master's in counseling and psychotherapy. It's supposed to support us in developing insight into our clients and also ourselves. Um, Self and Story, it's about the power of stories, storytelling. Yeah,
Storytelling, that's why I'm
stories.
here. You're in the right place.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, and that's also why I'm
Yeah.
super excited to talk
That's
to you
all I
about
talk
it
about is
because
stories and
yeah,
storytelling and stories of stories. And
exactly.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
okay, let's start.
Cool. So, um, Nat, tell me in as much detail as you want the story of your life.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah.
I was born in Hong Kong, and then we migrated, our family migrated to Australia in 1985. Grew up in Sydney, and then I went to UTS, and I
Mhm.
studied it's like an applied science, information studies course. Like back then, it's kind of like an internet course, but back then it was like really innovative
Mm.
because internet wasn't really something people
Mhm.
actually studied. It
Yeah.
was about data and things like that. Um, but it was also about communication. At the same time, I was building websites,
Mm.
and it was something that I was doing freelance. So I was getting a lot of skills doing like web
Mhm.
things and building a website. So by the time I left school, I already had quite a bit of experience. I already had my own clients and things like that.
Wow.
So then I got a really good job straight out of university.
Mm.
I was basically the job was working for National Geographic Channel. I was the web manager for it. So basically, I was managing all the content, and also I was designing the microsites and things like that.
Mm.
Back then, it was really innovative because no one was really doing things like that. I'm talking about early 2000, like 1999,
Yeah,
2000.
wow.
So I did that. A year into that, I basically left that because I was also freelancing at the same time, and I was working with two other people. I was working with them. They had a web agency. I was kind of helping them out, doing some creative work.
Mm.
Then I decided to join them, and we formed like this company. I was kind of project management at the time and doing like design work. And yeah, so basically I started at 21 this like the digital creative agency. Did that for about 6 years.
Mm.
Had a lot of pretty good success.
Mm.
And it's something that's funny right now that I'm thinking about is how like I'm telling you my life story, and it's funny how I'm defining my life through
Mm.
work.
Mhm.
I'm not talking
Yeah,
about
you're
anything
thinking
else.
about
But
the
that's what
how
most
you're
people.
telling the
Well,
story.
I'm not even thinking about how I'm talking. Well, yes, I am. I'm thinking like how it's interesting how we define ourselves,
Mm.
because that work is like a lot of most people will talk about like where they grew up, work, and school they went to, and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But we're so much more than that.
Mm.
Anyway, divergent. It could be interesting for your
Mm. Is it
analysis.
diversion? Yeah.
So anyway, I left after 6 years,
Mm.
sold that my part of in the business, and then I went to work for a one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, which led
Mhm.
me to go to Melbourne. I was a senior account director for this advertising agency, looking after one of their biggest clients,
Mm.
who was based in Melbourne, which is Nissan, the car brand.
Yeah. Wow.
So did that for 3 years in Melbourne, and then I decided to go to New York. Wow, and
Mm.
that's like
Big
whole phase.
change.
Yeah, I had never been to New York. I was 30,
Mm.
never been to New York during the global financial crisis, 2009.
Wow.
No job, never been, just quit, packed my job, packed my bags, and then just went.
Wow.
My mum was like, "You're crazy. You've got such a," I was already moving pretty, like, moving up the ladder in this big advertising agency,
Mm.
and had a very secure job, and then just went to no security at all. But I don't care. I just did it, just
Okay.
like didn't, no fear. Um,
Yeah.
and just went for it, followed my intuition. I didn't
Mm.
know what intuition was back then, but now I look back at it, it's
Mm.
like that's what I was doing, following my heart and intuition.
Mhm, mhm.
And I do that. That's how I live, I
Yeah.
recognize. So went to New York. I started doing some kind of freelancing over there, in strategy,
Mm.
like working in advertising agencies, and eventually I got a job, working for another really big one. So they call it the Big Fours. Like, and so the one that I was working for here was one of them, and then there was another
Wow.
big advertiser, like one of the big ones as well,
Mhm.
as a senior strategist, sorry, digital strategist or lead strategist for one of their biggest, well, actually the biggest client, which is Microsoft, doing
Wow.
digital stuff.
That is big.
And then as I was doing that, I got another job offer, which I went to, was working as head of director of digital marketing for Burberry. So moved
Ooh.
into fashion, moved into the client side, working in marketing.
Mhm.
So I did that for about 6, 7 years.
Mm.
It was a great job. I loved it. Great time of my life during this time. I was in my 30s, and I was young, I'm still young, but I was like even younger then. And yeah, just playing hard, working hard, living life,
Mm.
learning a lot about life, but work, like it was very work orientated,
Mm.
in New York. And I had money, like, I had very respectful job, good status, money,
Mm.
um, all the material stuff.
Yeah.
It was great, but at the same time, I was like, I recognize now I had a lot of anxiety
Mm.
and just constant panic attacks every day, daily. Actually, I already had anxiety before I went to New York,
Mm.
but and now I was on a lot of medication and things like that.
Wow.
And New York, but it the medication wasn't working.
Mm.
So I recognized that, and I just kind of like went cold turkey on it, and
Phew.
just, which you shouldn't really do, but I
Yeah.
just kind of
Wow.
couldn't do it, and like couldn't do it anymore. And
Mm.
then I found this other thing called meditation. So I went from medication to
To
meditation,
meditation.
and it was amazing. The first time I meditated, I was like in samadhi, like I hit this space of like no space, and it was like magic, and everything just felt like it was everything's going to be okay, and everything
Mm.
just felt so good, and I was just in bliss. It was the first time I
Mm.
meditated, and I
The
was like,
first time.
came out of it going, what the hell was that? Like, that was amazing, and I knew that was going to be changing everything, and it did.
Oh.
So from that day on, I started my spiritual path, I would say.
Mm.
That meant I just became a spiritual junkie. I mean, I still living the life I was living, but I was like reading any books I can get my hands on, going to trying out as many different types of meditations and other spiritual things. Just really getting into it.
Mm.
Um, Going to events, experiencing different things. And I was still on a weekly basis going to this meditation studio place, and learning and meditating and doing getting a lot into yoga, like all sorts, right?
That was the studio you started
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. And I then, after a while, you do that, things start to shift inside.
Mm.
I started this meditation journey, well, that's whole spiritual journey in 2012. In 2016, I decided, well, about a year before 2016, I just got this message that it's time to quit your job, sell everything, and just go. And
Mm.
I didn't even question it.
Wow.
I just started the process of make. I just called my parents the next day and said, "Look, I'm quitting my job."
So this all happened in, like, one day?
Like literally, I was at the gym doing a bench press, got this message. That's literally what happened, and the next
Wow.
day, I was like, you know, usually you think about it, you
Mm.
research it, you talk to your friends, like, and then for me, last thing I would do is tell my parents because
Mm.
I need to have like I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I just skipped all that because I knew this is exactly what I'm going
Wow.
to do. So I did it. I told them they were very happy. They were not, you know, they were very supportive.
Mm.
Um, and it took about a year for me to actually like close my life down because I was also trying to plan um, not just my trip, like what I had this idea it's going to be a year
Mm.
of like a sabbatical, let's call it like a mini retirement.
Mm.
So I was like obviously kind of planning that what that would look like, but more so like, you know, when you're in those that space is scary. Like you want to make sure that you have security when you came back. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna create this like travel business, like blogging
Mm.
content. I'm gonna like document my travels, and then when I come back, I'm gonna have this like content platform,
Mm.
and you know, it's all gonna be about travel and food, and just like I was building all that out
Yeah.
before I left, so then I could actually do it as I travel.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna jump straight to that part. Like the funny thing
Sure.
was, the day I had always like a year of planning. I literally made one blog post, and then that was it. I
That's how
because
it goes.
everything changed. Like I
Mm.
didn't that didn't make any sense for me.
Mm.
So anyway, that was that. I then went, yeah, I left 2016. Went first destination went to Nepal. You know, and then from there was like seven. That 1 year turned into two, two turned into four, four. Eventually, it was like a 7 year journey until I came
Mm.
back to Australia.
Wow.
7 years, I basically majority of that time I ended up in Bali because of COVID, but
Mm.
I traveled and lived in about 50 different countries over those 7 years and had a crazy spiritual experience, nomadic experience, life experience. In that
Mm.
time, I was really able to heal a lot of things that was causing the
Mm.
anxiety that I had. And then also when you start getting the healing, you start to see you break down the barriers, right? You
Mm.
start to see more about who you are and what you're here to do and what you're, yeah, just more about who you are and what
Mm.
you're here to do. And I got a really good sense of myself.
Wow.
And then that really led me to do what I'm doing now, which is making an impact through film and storytelling.
Mm.
Because through I'm cut out a whole bunch of things, but through that journey, I was able to see that this is my purpose. This is why I'm here,
Mm.
and I love it.
Mm.
Like it's the first day I picked up the camera and started telling stories with it. I just knew this is I was good at it.
Yeah.
Never had any experience. I knew I could do it, like intuitively, and then two, like it just felt like I loved the process of it.
Mm. And this all happened during the time you were traveling?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And then yeah, so then basically through after 7 years of doing this, I realized that phase of exploring an inner journeying, that, you know, kind of what we would say like being more in the spirited state of flowing through life and going inwards and not really having any stability, but just intuitively following the life.
Mm.
I got what I needed out of that.
Mm.
It was great. It was very free. But then I realized, okay, now that 7 years is over. I'm gonna bring everything that I've learnt about myself, what I want to do, and build off a solid
Mm.
foundation and actually start building from that new foundation of the
Mm.
self,
Wow.
which led me back to Australia
Yeah.
to now, because Australia is very stable and you have a lot of support and things like that, and family, friends, government,
Yeah.
very supportive, and just, yeah, stable ground. And so I've been back for a year, and now I'm building I'm now building. I have a documentary storytelling production company, let's call it,
Mm.
focused within the impact space, but I'm also building an impact storytelling community as well.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, so that's kind of a very broad stroke. So if you have any
Mhm.
questions on any part, feel free.
Oh, yeah.
So if you made it this far, I truly appreciate it, and I thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe just to support my channel. And when the next episode or my next part of the interview is ready, it will appear here, and it will be about how I learned to tell stories and also how I got into branded documentary filmmaking, as well as impact storytelling, and how I actually got to get paid for it. So, on that note, I thank you again, and I hope to see you in the next one.